Hello, welcome back to Breezy the Teacher's YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about all things E to the N to the E-R-G-Y, energy. Welcome to Science Fri-Yay. Before we get started, I have a brand new lab coat for us to do our experiment with today. We are going to be super scientists. Today, if you do this experiment at home, you will need an adult. Don't forget, do not do this without an adult because it involves fire. Today's experiment is called the Candle Seesaw. Ooh, what are we going to do with the candle? We are going to be looking at the potential and kinetic energy. Remember, it's all things E to the N to the E-R-G-Y, energy. What is potential energy anyway? Let me hear you. Yes, potential energy means it has the potential to move. What about that kinetic energy though? Yes, kinetic energy is energy in motion, energy in motion. For today's experiment, the materials that we will need are a long candlestick. Any color will do, whatever is your preference. You will need a needle or a sharp object. Today we'll be using a paper clip. You need 2 cups, a lighter, and adult supervision. Before we get started on this experiment, I want us to make a prediction. What do you think all of these things are going to do? How are they going to turn from potential into kinetic energy? I'll give you a few seconds to decide. All right, let's dive a little deeper. Here's what we need for our experiment preparation today. The first step for our experiment is you're going to cut the end of the candle to expose the wick. Both ends of the wick will be exposed at the end when you are done cutting it. Step 2, you're going to stick a needle or the paper clip through the candle at the halfway point, approximately about here. Step 3, we're going to balance the candle between the 2 cups. And step 4, we're going to light both ends with the lighter. Here is an example of what it will look like when you are ready to start this experiment. The 2 cups will be right here. Here is the needle or the paper clip that is holding or suspending the candle in between, and both ends are on fire. Now I want you to remember, we're thinking about what is going to be potential about this experiment and what is going to be kinetic about this experiment, and how does it even play into energy. All right, at the end of our experiment, here's what I want you to predict. At the end of our experiment, here's what we're going to find out. When does the candle contain potential energy? So when is it not moving, but it has the ability to move? Number 2, what causes the kinetic energy? So at the picture, what do you think is going to cause that kinetic energy and cause the candle to move? Number 3, does the weight of the candle change during the experiment? That's going to be a tough one. And number 4, if you know those basic forms of energy, let's hear them. Oh yes, I hear electric. What else? Mechanical. Light. Heat. Oh, what else? There's one more. Who's got it? Sound energy. Excellent. Those are the 5 basic forms of energy. So our last question that we're going to answer is, what other basic forms of energy are seen during this experiment? The first step of this experiment is you're going to cut the bottom off of a candle until you see the wick. The wick is the part that will burn. Try to be very careful. If you are a kid at home trying to do this, please make sure that you get an adult. When it is finished, it should look like this. So this is one end of the candle. This is the other end of the candle. Once the candle has been cut, so you have exposed both ends with the wick, so here's one end and here is the other. The second thing you're going to do is grab a needle or some other sharp object. I have a paper clip here that I've just extended on out. You're going to grab an adult and push the sharp object all the way through the candle until you get it halfway through. Make sure that you do this very carefully because the candle will break. Then you won't be able to do the experiment. So when you're finished, it should look a little bit like this. Step 3, you're going to place 2 cups side by side. After you place those 2 cups side by side, you're going to grab the candle with the paper clip or needle that you have already pushed all the way through it halfway, and you're going to place it on top of the cups, being very careful that you are balancing them between the cups. This may take a little bit to get it exactly right, and that's okay. If you can see now, I have had to bend the paper clips just a little bit so it can get balanced. Step 4 is to light both ends with the lighter. If you're a kid at home, make sure that you get some parent supervision. So here we go. Here's one end of the candle being lit. If you can see right now, the candle is not moving whatsoever. The second end of the candle is also being lit. You might have to relight your candle, and that's okay. Right now, that candle is holding potential energy. It does have the ability to move, so let's see what happens. Here's the candle moving in slow motion. Look at that. We have formed potential energy and made it into kinetic energy. If you see, the candle seesaw is actually working. That is science. Let's go ahead and answer these questions. Number 1, when does the candle contain potential energy? Was it before I lit the candle or after I lit the candle? Yes, it was before I lit the candle. Before the candle was ever lit, it was not moving, so it had the potential to move. Number 2, what causes the kinetic energy? So what was the change between before I lit the candle and after? Ooh, yes, that heat right here. It was when I lit the candle on both ends, after the wax started to melt, the shift of the weight began to change. Therefore, the candle continues to shift back and forth, causing it to make a seesaw action. Number 3, does the weight of the candle change during the experiment? Well, let's take a look. Is it losing any wax? I see so much wax down here. We love to put our fingers in it, don't we, and form a little wax on our fingers. So if the candle is losing wax here, is the weight of the actual candle changing? Absolutely. Is it getting lighter or heavier? It's getting lighter because all of that wax is continuing to drip and fall off as the kinetic energy makes the seesaw go back and forth. As we're taking a super close look at this experiment and the candle is continuing to use that kinetic energy and moving back and forth, what is the answer to number 4? What other basic forms of energy are seen? So remember, the basic form of energies, we have 5. Mechanical, electrical, heat, light, and sound. That is the question that I'm going to leave you with today. Once again, thank you for tuning in to Breezy the Teacher's YouTube channel. And with that, happy Science Friday, and we are out.